Not getting anywhere.
I'm going to get out of this chair.
I'm going to get right in your
momentarily.
chair like a
Come to my lap.
ventriloquist dummy. We're going to do an
Look how
act.
strong you are. Look at that. You've been working out.
Hey, I don't know what you think this Club Random is.
Well, I'm behind a post. Look where I am. I'm behind a post, and I got a white light, and I'm looking for dancing girls, and there's nobody here.
No, this is a
Then you walked
ventriloquist. This is a
in,
ventriloquist
to my
act. You stick your hand up my ass, and then I insult the audience.
You notice
I'm so flattered you're here. Thank you so much.
Well,
I can't
I
believe
love you.
you
I think
are at my Club Random. I'm
Is
really,
it new?
I'm tickled.
It's new.
It is so old, but we basically just made what I've been partying in for 20 years.
Have you really?
Yeah, when I bought this house, it was owned by a movie star. It had video games in it. No interest to me. But it was like this cool, I mean, you saw that door? It's like...
Yeah. Well, the whole room is kind of antique.
It's got a feel.
Yeah, it feels like Chanel.
But I like that because when you party here, you can't ruin it.
So what do you mean with a party? What happens? What happens?
What do you mean?
I've never been to a Hollywood party.
Oh,
okay?
stop it.
No, I'm serious.
Stop it.
I've never been to a Hollywood party. Is this a Hollywood party?
When you were putting your hand up my ass, that was a Hollywood party.
Well, that was comfortable. but what happens here?
What do you mean, what happened?
What happens here when I'm not here?
Talking to people.
Yeah?
I mean, are you asking me, have I ever had sex in this room? Of
Yes.
course, it's a room. But wait, you have been to a Hollywood party.
Bill.
How could you have avoided that?
Bill, if somebody said to me, I bet there's a lot of drugs in Hollywood, I would say, no, there's not.
Well,
I've seen only...
Okay. That's different than never going to a party. I agree. If someone said to me, where do you get cocaine? I would say, I don't know. It's not 1988. I don't know anymore.
How about if somebody said, come to the opening of this show. It's going to be an opening of this show. And so I'm inviting a lot of people.
Okay.
And I would go to that thing. I wouldn't know anything.
And the reason for this is because you're...
I don't know.
Too good for everybody?
I don't think that's the answer.
Well, okay.
Where would you rather be?
Too intellectual for the Hollywood crowd.
Where would you rather be?
because I think that's what it is.
You think I'm too intellectual?
I do.
Well, I don't even know the crowd to be superior to.
I mean, you've been on the scene for around 40 years. I feel like it's impossible not to knowing who you are. And you're not shy about doing something like this, where we see you as you.
I love it.
Right.
It's a challenge.
I feel like I know you.
And me, you, but I don't know you well enough.
Right. Well, that's what this is for. But I know you
well.
well.
What are you looking for?
Liquor, as always. I know you well enough.
Yeah.
To think that's my suspicion, because Truman Capote once famously said, "All actors are dumb," which is generally true. But the ones like you who are not dumb, you don't fit in with the crowd. You don't. I don't fit in with the crowd either. Neither one of us.
But it's your politics that doesn't fit in.
Well, my politics fits in with people who are independent thinkers.
Or is there a ruling for independent thinkers? I'm an independent thinker, so you have a ruling. I don't know. But what I mean is, people are not the filmmakers and the actors that preen themselves. You ride with an intellectual, politically alert group of people.
Well, you should have seen me Friday night. You wouldn't say that, but look, I like the full range. I like to party here with anybody. That's really the provenance of this podcast, was the idea that people kept saying to me, we see this other side of you. We see you all the time. You're out, you're partying, you're this kind of thing.
Why did you put it on film?
Yes, because I can't be that guy on real time because, if there's very serious people there, I hope I'm funny, but it's a kind of a different level than this. To me, there's no greater pleasure than shooting the shit with somebody I like. Really, in the whole world.
And that's what I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do you do it with?
You had one of the guys who works for you here. I was a little early, so I sat in the chair, and his name escapes me now. Good-looking guy, he's been with you a long time. And we were talking about making electricity and small things that do that. And so I got him talking. He was talking. The background is Jersey, and he had his shop and his thing, and he met, and he knew you, and he went with you, and it was a fascinating interview.
Right.
If that would have been the party, and it's time to leave, I would have said to whoever I was with, "Oh, I just met an interesting guy."
I think you should become a regular at Club Brandon, because I think I can solve this problem. Come here. We'd love to have you, and I think you'll have a good time. It's like my mother at the end, all her problems could have been solved if she just smoked pot. She was underweight, didn't laugh enough. There was even a book called like The Grandmother's Guide to Smoking Pot I sent her, and she was...
Why did you feed it to her? Here, Mom. Grandma, here. Take a little lick.
It's not my looks like my mother, not my grandmother. But she was an old lady who was a widow, who was, yes, bored, not laugh enough, and weighed 90 pounds and needed to get the munchies. And if she could just, done that. So I think it's very much...
But why didn't
I'm saying you should come to Club Brandon.
I used to smoke grass fairly often.
You have to smoke grass, but just come to Club Brandon.
Yes, I would love to. If that's an invitation, I accept. But talking about grass, I kind of fell out of it because it does make you think. It does give you the munchies, and I don't need the munchies because I'm a foodie. It does make you think. I don't know if it's creatively, certainly originally. I mean, you're going over stuff that you haven't thought of.
You are an amazing specimen, because I know your age. And you look like you could play the beefy 60-year-old...
I hate that first word.
Well, I think alive is a great word at 90. Like beefy, that's not fat. It just means you could play that, Charles Durning guy.
Charles Durning, oh God, it's getting worse.
But at 60, I'm saying you could play the part of a 60-year-old.
Yeah, but why couldn't I be like a thin, slim 60? You could play Charles Durning.
Well, Bill, that part's up to you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, you look great. You're a fucking force of nature, because, and to me, this is like very important, because I'm 66, which is not certainly considered.
4 years away from 70.
I know.
Have you thought of that?
No, Bill. You're the first one to brought up the idea.
But does it occur to you all the time, or is it just
all the time?
Yeah.
All the fucking time. And I remember an interview you did in some magazine, like, I don't know what, but it was when because I remember the line you said was, maybe you were on like Boston...
Legal? Trying to help you, man. I don't want you floundering. This is a good show, and you floundering is not a good image.
Well, again, hardly a show, but Boston Legal, okay. So, and you said, and it was like Maxim, one of those where like there's a one-page thing with an iconic person, and you were like, 75. He said, and you said, like, if this is what 75 feels like, I can't, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, but then, so 75 is kind of young. You're 9 years old.
No, you were saying you didn't feel it at all.
No, well, I understand. So now progress that to 15 years, 16 years later, and the prevalent emotion is, am I dying?
You're not close. I mean, again.
No, the feeling. Like, oh, Jesus, I'm tired. I've been, I'm full. I don't want to eat anymore. Am I dying? That thing occurs to me all the time.
But you're not very wrinkled. You're like, your face is alive. People you either look, when you see somebody, you immediately take in information that you don't even consciously know. Right. But you just look at a person, and
when you get stoned, you realize you've taken it in.
And you go, this person is either attractive. They say, oh, come on, You look at
or
a
they're
man,
dying. Their head is
or
dead.
they just don't look quite right. You can't put your finger on it, but they're kind of gray. You look robust. You know, again, you're going to hate the words I choose, but
Beefy
they're
is, I believe, the word you
Henry VIII. You know, these are good. You know, he was a very
skinny little fart.
He was a very powerful guy, but he was like hale and ruddy, and it looked healthy. You look healthy.
No, I'm healthy. I am.
That's-
I just got off a horse. This morning. I spent time on a new horse.
Back from space, I thought.
Yeah, well, I did that too.
I have to. Oh my God! I have to ask you about that, but I just want to say one more thing about the aging thing. It's funny you asked me that about. Like, you think about it every day.
Yeah.
Did you at that age?
Far younger, like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're 25. Right, 25. You're 30.
Right.
You know this thing about passages, right? So you get to 30, and you're thinking, okay, it's good. Well, now's the time. You're supposed to be a passage where you begin to realize your dreams of 20. And if you're not realizing your dreams of 20, are you getting dispirited? Or maybe I should change what I'm doing.
I'm guessing, since what were you, 36 when Star Trek hit, something like that? See, I was almost the exact same age when I got politically incorrect. The sign is right behind me.
I'm so old I can't turn.
Yes. And like, for me, I don't know if it was you, but like 20s, you're not quite expected to have made it yet, but when you peek into your 30s and you still haven't, that to me was the roughest time.
See, and that for an actor.
Same with you?
Well, you're in even a more ephemeral position. You're going to go up and you're going to stand in front of an audience. I say, I worship two things. I worship a great voice, a great singing voice, because it's just like magic, and stand-up comics. Stand-up comics are stripped naked, bare.
Yeah.
When that routine is there are no extra words. There's no extra motion. Emotion gets in the way of the laugh. You know exactly where you have to be, what you have to do. It's stripped bare. It's pure. A great stand-up comic is pure.
Well, listen, I just got back from Miami. I taped my 12th stand-up special for HBO. It's on April 15th. I really hope you watch it because I think it'll fulfill what you want.
Have that gentleman who I talked to remind me.
I will remind you because I'm going to get your number.
Yep.
I mean, you've already had your hand up my ass.
Yeah.
At the very least,
and you need a little help.
Oh, and you know, speaking of ass, this is what I'm going to say.
Have you tried the hemorrhoid cream?
No, but I was just going to say, like, the worst thing about you said, like, this is the thing about all the time, because there are things that make you think of it. Like, there are just things when you're older that you never used to do.
Okay, you want to know what makes me think of it? Right here. Getting out of this fucking chair. The chair is so deep that to get out of it is a real effort. And it's an example of how stiff your bones get and your muscles get. So I didn't want to get out to show how stiff I was.
First of all, I threw myself on you and sat on it. So
Well,
you
that was
couldn't
good.
have gotten up if you wanted to.
No, but
That's not usually how I greet the guests.
you actually stretched a couple of muscles by sitting.
I recently had the experience of having to send my shit away in the mail. Have you done this?
No,
You've never
refused
sent your
to do it.
shit away?
No, you never knew who was going to get a hold of your shit.
No, but I mean, it's that kind of thing that you didn't used to do. That now that makes you, it fucks
Because
with your
they've
head.
discovered that your bacteria of your whole gut is coming out of
Well,
your
because
shit.
they need to check you, or
Yes.
you have to check. So
Yes.
I'm sending my shit away in the mail.
All right, so
You
it
tell me
poses
you've
the
never
question.
done that? You've
Well,
never, you should.
No, well, you scoop it up and you put it in a little plastic thing.
You send it away in
and
the mail.
I carry it. I don't want to. Like a doggy bag.
I always think that's
You know,
the worst job in the world. Is some poor schmuck all day opens up boxes and
that-
oh look, it's
and your urine example. You know,
I
how many
always
times
want
have
to
you
put
peed into a urine
I
thing?
want to put a diamond in one time, just so they can open up the box and go, oh, fuck,
That's funny.
This time
diamonds.
it's a diamond.
No,
Usually
it's either been cooked inside your body or you swallowed your wife's
stranger shit,
engagement
and
ring.
it would be such a morale booster around the office because, like, they would think, oh, well, once in a while we could
see.
get diamonds.
Right.
Oh, that's
We gotta
happened
follow him
once.
around.
And they're like, this is a fucking diamond.
That would be very funny. You know, Ava Gardner was. Well, you know the story about Ava Gardner?
Speaking of boxes of shit.
You know the story of Ava Gardner? This great beauty.
No, but still hot.
She used to shit.
Still hot, right?
Well.
When you see pictures of her or in a movie.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, but most of the actresses in that era are not bonerific. She is.
She was, the rumor was, at least I read about it, she was, got to be an alcoholic. I mean, she was really in her cup. So,
married to Sinatra. Wouldn't you?
I don't know.
If you're married to Sinatra.
All I know is the rumor was, every so often when she needed to, she'd squat down on the lobby of the hotel and pass a diamond. I mean, it's...
Oh, man, you had me going with that.
But just the picture of Ava Gardner squatting and crapping is just like, it's like overboard. Like, wow. Would you like to see that?
You know what? I wish I was the kind of guy who could say, you know what? I'd still fuck her if she was shitting on my dick, but I am not that guy. I mean, as hot as she was,
you don't
I'm
know
sorry,
that.
shit turns
you
me on.
do. Well, that's.
No.
Well,
I mean, period. I'll fuck you on your period, but nothing with shit.
Not on my period.
And not and not food. People who involve food with sex are doing it wrong.
I don't get that.
Never got that. Never got that.
Yeah, no.
You never used any sort of
food,
popsicle?
popsicles?
Well,
no.
I mean, lick whipped cream, anything. Edible panties.
No.
Never. No.
What's an edible panty made of? How edible is a panty?
Well, that's a very good question. Very good question.
That's why you have to send your shit out, because you have too much. My dog passes rubber gloves. He eats rubber gloves. So I go, no, he's squirting, and out pops a rubber glove. So here you are.
Where does he get the glove?
He picks up a glove from somebody.
Remember
when we were wearing.
You got to be careful.
No, he's a big Doberman. And I don't know how to deal with that.
Well, by not leaving gloves around.
I don't.
I'm
Workmen come in and drop a glove.
Are you an animal lover, Bill?
Say again?
Are you an animal lover?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a PETA board member since the 90s. PETA, the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals.
Of course. Yes.
People who have made incredible strides.
Well, you being a PETA board makes you a PETA a little overboard.
It is not overboard. So you're not an animal lover?
No.
Well, I'm just asking.
I worship animals.
Oh. Well, you ride horses.
Dogs.
You ride dogs.
Oh.
Again, I'm citing you for several violations.
No, but I'm that's my life is dogs and horses.
Oh.
But
More than
when you
people.
get into the question that they are into, for example, of the Mustangs in the Southwest, the question of what do you do with animals that are overgrazing is a really profound one.
What do you mean overgrazing?
The grazing of the national parks is beef, herds of whatever's there, antelope, elk, whatever. Everybody's competing for the food, the grass, and along comes the Mustangs, and they need their share of the grass too, and everybody starves.
So what are you saying? It would be better if we capture the horses and domesticate them?
Well, they do that a lot, but I'm sure a lot of them aren't domesticated. They catch a lot.
I mean, people always say, like, my horse, he loves it. I'm like, is your horse Mr. Ed? How the fuck do you know if your horse loves it? I mean, I know people feel
I understand.
a kinship with the horse.
I understand.
But it is something that you could just be, intimating because you want to believe that the horse is enjoying you riding.
Yes, you have to discipline a horse into a skill. The skill I'm into around here is reining, sliding horses, doing a 180-degree turn and running down the full length, sliding down, turning around. I compete on all that. Yeah, I have a horse show.
That doesn't sound like something the horse would enjoy.
And yet, the horse has a skill that's been trained into it, much like any other athletic being. And you say, hit that ball, hit that ball, hit that ball. I said, yeah, this is no fun. Come on. Why couldn't, what's-his-face, hit a free throw? Why couldn't he hit a free throw?
You're talking about like Shaq?
Yeah, why couldn't Shaq hit a free throw?
Mental.
When he took instruction he began to hit it. To train the horse, he goes, I stand. Oh, shit, I stand.
You're saying he works for his money.
He works for his money.
Let me ask you this. Most people would say, most people like some animals, certainly pets, but they would say, well, they enhance my life with people.
I don't think that at all.
I'm asking, yes. So you think
No,
they...
you know how I had my hand up your ass. Eh? Did that feel good or did that not feel good?
Well, I hate to admit it.
Okay,
It
no, don't hate to admit it. Admit it with enthusiasm. I loved it. And 2 fingers,
Okay.
Shatner.
But,
Okay.
it is William Shatner doing it.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
maybe the dog is doing the same thing. Hey, it's my master. He's teaching me to sit down when I say sit.
But, but Bill, what I was actually asking is, do people would say enhances my life, whereas I only live with dogs.
You got dogs here?
Of course, I've always had 2 dogs.
And that's the perfect number, by the way.
It is the perfect
They
number.
have their own. They have
Exactly.
themselves, and they have
Yes.
enough for you.
Right, and when you're not there, they have a buddy.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fantastic.
It's
It
important.
works out. Okay, but to me, they really replace having a person. I think they're better, because
That's sad.
I thought you were going to say you're the same way.
No, well,
you're not the same
only
way.
when I haven't
Are you
had.
married? But you're not
in
married.
the time. Yes.
Right
well,
now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
I'm living with my wife. That's
That's what people
that's a whole other
what people
subject.
normally do is they live with their wife.
That's a whole other
You
subject.
say it like it's,
and I don't know
a
whether-
novel. I'm living with my wife.
Well,
Wow.
some people, my wife's over
Wow.
there and I'm over here. Long-term marriages can evolve that way sometimes.
I never got the marriage thing, but
Why didn't you get married?
Because it's stupid. Because it's fucking stupid. Who's happy with it? Everyone gets divorced. There's a book out now. Have you seen this? It's been reviewed everywhere.
No.
It's a book where this woman shits on her husband for 250 pages. The slug line I read in the excerpt was, do I hate my husband? Oh yeah, sure. But they stay married.
Why?
Why, exactly? Because it's all about how tedious and awful marriage is, and it's but again, there's divine in the title, and I'm like, where is the divine here? Where's that part? She never
divine-
quite gets to that,
but read through that. What did she say? He's an asshole, and I don't like him, but I'm still with him, and she's still with him. And the same reason people have pets, because there's continuity, and
Well,
there's this.
That's sad. That's sad.
Welcome.
And that's codependency, right? She talks about this guy. Everything about him is super grating, which I understand but he's always clearing his throat. So my phlegmy husband, and really, she goes into
Jeez,
such
that's
detail. She compares him to a pile of laundry at one
Oh
point.
my
In the
God.
morning before he had his coffee, he's smelly, inert, and barely sentient. It's just he's a pussy. When he has a little ache or pain, you never hear the end of it. And other times I remember that handsome professor and still think I'm married to him. It's okay, but is it worth waiting through all this to get to that few moments where you have a spark?
How long
of,
has she been married?
It sounds like 15 years. They have
15. So
something
she's
like that.
she's still
they're 2 kids.
comparatively young.
Yes, I would say from the picture, I would say 40.
So does she feel? Do you think in the book does she feel that she could do better if she went out there?
It's so hard. That's what I'm saying. What is the point of this? She goes on and on and on about the things that when you ask me that question, why didn't you ever get married? Read this book.
Theoretically.
If you read this, what everyone says, of course, why would
How long have you lived with somebody in your life?
Okay, I lived with someone once for a year, and then
that was it?
another year. Yes, I think twice I lived with someone for a year. It's not my thing.
And then what? A week,
And then
a day, a month?
And then it ended. What?
But now, a week, a day, a month?
What do you mean?
Living with or...
I'm not living with anyone. I'm living with Chico and Chula.
Okay,
That's
so
what I'm
nobody
saying.
is in your bed at night, so you wake up beside them in the
I
morning?
didn't say that.
Well, so is that one night or 10 nights?
Oh, Mom.
No,
I can't.
tell me.
No.
Don't give me mom. What what is the continuity in your life other than going on stage and being funny?
Let's say that's the continuity in my life.
That's
the continuity that I need. I mean, you know, I've always been married to my career. I mean, any woman would always have to be a mistress to that. I mean, that's just the way it is. I think I was hurt when I was in high school by, you know, dumped by my first high school girlfriend. And I think at that moment, something in me went, don't ever put your eggs in that basket for happiness.
Yeah.
Make career the thing.
Okay, go a little earlier. Your mom was alone. Your dad had died?
Well, yeah, my mother was a widow for 15 years.
For 15 years?
Yeah.
How long had she been married?
41.
So you left really early. You left home really early.
Why do you say that? I left home the normal time to go to college.
20, yeah.
18.
18.
Yeah.
You were 18 and left home?
Yeah.
Did you ever go back?
No.
See?
I mean, to visit.
Yeah, but you
No.
said, I'm now, you earned your money, you
I had
paid
a
your...
lot of pride. I mean, starting out as a comic, you make no money, so I sold pot. I literally still had the money I had from cutting lawns and shoveling driveways as a kid that I saved.
Yeah.
But
you know, I was developing a movie, and one of the big scenes was the agent, the comics agent, and the father of the girl he loved. There was a party, and in the party were all the comics. There were a lot of comics. So the camera passing by, we'd catch laugh lines of some kind. Take my wife, please, and then you'd go on. You know? So I interviewed a lot of comics, young
Really?
comics. Yeah, I must have ordered. I had a draw. How old am I?
At the time. Now, how old were you at this
It
moment?
was about 15 years ago.
Okay. So recently.
Yeah, very
okay.
recently. And I still have the screenplay. It's a wonderful screenplay. And so the camera, basketball comics. So I interviewed a lot of young comics, and I got a sense of what you were going through, did when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And the underground, that I don't know whether it still exists, but that underground comedy store where you'd get a few $100, $100, and they come in their car, and they may sleep in their car, and they drive to the next gig.
We didn't make 100. We made 3. We got cab fare. We took $100. We never.
No kidding.
Yes, and it wasn't underground, but it was the showcase club. Yes, that's where I started. That's where every comic started in the last 40 years. After, I mean, the Catskills was a thing of a different
was
era.
something else.
Yes, I'm saying that was that era.
Yeah.
In the 60s, late 60s, it moved. Well, the Improv in New York was the first. That was 1962, 60 years ago. And that was the first showcase club. That took over from the Catskills as the place where a young comic would
develop,
be bad, as they said.
Yeah.
And we all were. I started in like 79, 80. Okay, that was a big, you know, it would become a big thing by then. There was too many.
The underground, you mean?
I mean, it wasn't the underground. They were very.
There were
They're showcase clubs
the-
where
the
you get $3,
clubs.
and the, you know, club owner made a fortune because he was giving you stage time, and you needed that. You needed a place where you could not be great. So that was the deal.
So
you got no money.
Okay, so tell me, because I have on occasion been on stage where it's failing, and it's like the end of the world. I mean, it's
With
just
comedy?
yeah.
You mean like a joke that doesn't land in a script?
Right, but it goes on. I mean, you would go on to it's not working for a length of time. It isn't one joke. It's like, you know,
like a play.
Well, like a play. But in your case, the set isn't working. Nobody's laughing because of something. Either your material is bad, or you're.
But that, I mean, yes, that is the nightmare that is your first 5 years.
That's what I'm talking about.
But after that,
how do you survive that?
If you do, it's like war. If you survive the barrage, you know, yes, you're good to go at a certain
How do
point.
you survive? Get off the stage. God, you smell. That's terrible. Get him out of here.
Or just,
they bring
when you
hook.
just feel that they hate you. Just, you know, you feel it.
Yeah.
It's not sometimes heckling. Just it's silence.
Yeah.
And it's contempt or pity. Pity. When you feel people pity you.
Those are the kind ones.
And also, I made it worse because, you know, I lash back out at them sometimes. I was on.
You were angry.
Yes. Well, you're angry.
And,
yes.
and,
You're angry.
and okay, I've
You're
come,
angry.
to, I've come to think, what were you angry?
You're angry that the joke is a gift that you are giving the audience.
Right,
And
right.
they don't get it.
Right.
So you're like, I gave you this beautiful gift,
Right.
and you fucking morons
Right.
flew right over your head, you
Right.
fucking asshole.
You don't say,
fuck you.
Okay.
That's what you really want to say. And unfortunately, when I was young, I said exactly that. I wish I could have couched
That's
it
hysterical.
in something.
So how do you survive that?
I mean, that's what survival of the fittest means. You know, you have what it takes to
overcome that.
take the fucking blows and do it your way.
But of course, what was happening is your material wasn't good enough. It wasn't your delivery. It wasn't that.
Very
It
much
wasn't
so.
funny.
Correct. It was both. Sometimes
Well,
the audience was.
No, you
Not
can't
it.
blame the audience.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Well, I can. And I
Because
do.
it's easier.
No.
Because instead of blaming yourself.
No, because some audiences are good and some audiences are bad. Just the way some people are stupid and some people
that
are smart.
isn't so. But
I don't know.
but wait a minute. Let me get to my point. If they don't laugh, it's not them. It's your joke.
It's both, Bill. Okay, we'll agree to disagree, but I'm telling you, as a comedian of 40 years, I think most comics would say the same thing. There are audiences where, no, I'm sorry, it is them. Because we've done the same joke 100 times.
That's
and
right,
other
it's
audiences-
universal.
And other audiences...
So something happened.
Well, why did the audiences, 100 audiences found it funny, and this one audience was like this?
Maybe we're talking about two different stages. The stage that we're talking about, the period of time we're talking about, is like that 5-year
Yes.
conditioning time.
No, I'm admitting, especially when you're starting, yes, a lot of the reason why you are not well received is because you don't deserve to be. Because yes, your audience,
That's
your
my point.
material is juvenile. You're just starting out. You're trying to just find something to get that oxygen of laughter on stage every 15 seconds, and you do a lot of stupid things and say a lot of bad jokes.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, I'm telling you, there is such a thing as a bad audience.
When does it evolve? When does a lot of the comics I talk to, I said, how did you know want to be a comic? Well, I could make my high school friends laugh at a party, and I would tell them funny things, and they would laugh. Oh, hey, I could be a comic. That's generally the story. Is that not your story?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a comedian when I was, I would say, less than 10 years old.
Were you making people laugh at 9?
I was, like family parties.
Yes.
Like I do think back at this one teacher I had, this English teacher. Now I think back, he was super gay, and I was a kid. I didn't understand.
Did he have his hand up your ass?
Not in the way you did, Bill, but he was good. But he picked me to there was a talent show senior year in high school, and he said, you should MC that. And the fact that somebody in this world, without me ever saying it to anybody else, recognized it and said, you should do that, I think was a big boost, because they're like, okay, maybe I'm not crazy, and it's not just in my mind. This teacher, who I have no idea is gay, but later in life
did
will
you have
realize.
those thoughts? Because I didn't have those thoughts. I didn't, when I was good in a play, I didn't think, I don't know, I was destined to be an actor. I never thought of doing anything else.
Right.
You?
No, I'm saying I never did either.
You just went walking along and you made a joke and then made two. And
it's something, and also what makes an actor so good is just there's something we can't quantify, describe. We just like to watch you on the screen. We do. I mean, look at your career. You never, ever stopped working. You went from one series to the next, movies. People just, some people just have that factor.
I know.
We just want to be around you.
That's fantastic. But
for you, it's
me,
fantastic for you.
I don't know about you.
Some other schmuck who didn't get a job acting, it was...
When did you become political? When did, what was his name?
My father was a newsman. My father was radio news, so it was always in my house.
So he was on radio as
yes.
radio?
Well, back in the days when every radio station had news at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
And he was there was just staff announcers, you remember this era.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember once a year, we'd go into Daddy's office, and I'd meet all the other announcers, and they would scare the shit out of me because they had these booming.
Well, they had the voice. They had
Hello, young man. I'm Bob
voice. How are you? I'm Shatner.
Hello, young man.
Daddy.
But that was so I grew up steeped in it because he was a news guy, and so my parents were hip,
But it's one thing to be
liberal.
an anchor or to read the news, another to make editorial comment.
Right.
That is almost
Oh, no,
almost a diatribe.
I definitely knew what their politics were. They were, liberal Democrats, especially for the time we lived in. They were outliers to most people, I think. They weren't fucking the weathermen, but they were concerned about the old school liberal values that I think I still hold, and I feel like came directly through them to me.
But you more don't suffer fools.
No.
They could have a different opinion of whether there should be more or less taxes, but
Right.
it's the fools that you don't abide by.
No, I hate. Well, who has, especially Bill, when we get older, we get, let's be honest, less patient, especially with stupidity and fools and people who waste our time.
But-
because we could be reading. If you're not interesting, I don't mean you in particular,
Yeah.
but like I can be reading and having a good time, right?
You read a lot at home?
Oh no, I hate reading. I watch TV. Reading. You mean?
Are you
You
serious?
mean slow TVs? When you went up into space, did you bring a book just in case there was a delay or?
There was a delay.
There was.
Right.
I must tell you, I hate to be now I have to oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this, but because I try to not. As you can see by this is not the way you normally are interviewed by a person. But I have to say, I have to ask one question that is the same question that a fucking twink on the local news or anyone would ask you, but once in a while they stumble upon something that I also would find I have to ask. It's so cliche, but I am curious, did that actually change you when you go up and...
It did.
And don't fucking bullshit me.
No.
Okay. So it really...
The reason what I did inadvertently against everything that I thought, because we went to Blue Origin a year before it was even thought of. Jason Ehrlich was a friend of ours. Jason said, you should go up with that Blue Origin thing.
Oh, Bezos didn't have himself?
Not originally.
Huh.
So we went out and sold, with Shatner up there, okay, come up to Seattle and talk to us about it. So Jason and I went up to Seattle, went into the lobby, and in the lobby is all StarTrek. It's the ship, the original ship is under a glass door, and there was Jack. And how do you do? Jeff Bezos, he's a cool guy.
I love him.
He's a really cool guy.
Fun.
I was able to interview him, very much like we're doing now.
Right.
And get stories from
he
him.
gets down. He's not a crazy man, but he's not stuffy.
No.
He listens to you. You're some people of that level, you don't feel like you're ever really connected.
Exactly.
He's looking at you. He's laughing.
Yeah.
If you say something good, I got to remember that and write on my phone. He's thrilled with life. He fucking loves his girl, and
and the girl loves him.
Yes,
and
they seem to be very much
relationship.
in love. It's nice to be around people like that who are happy. If you couldn't be happy with everything he has, then you're just an asshole.
Well, I don't know about that. But
Well, come on. If you have everything...
No, man, that isn't happiness.
No, but I'm saying...
Happiness is this. This is happiness.
Right.
No, but you're sitting in your chair.
Right.
You're going to smoke a doobie.
Oh,
no. It's going to be great.
This is a clove cigarette.
Bullshit.
Oh, Bill, please. I'm well
Is it
known.
against the law?
I'm a well-known clove cigarette smoker.
Right.
You really have not been
It's more like
following
a cloven hoof cigarette.
following my career as closely as I would like to.
Anyway, whatever it is, you're having a good time. This is happiness.
You're right. I said that
You and I
before.
are communicating.
I love
a long
it.
time. I've admired you for so long.
And you.
And here we are talking.
Exactly.
I got tea. You got a clove cigarette.
I've got 1942. That's what helps me
1942
relax.
what?
It's liquor. It's
Well, what?
tequila.
Bourbon?
You don't know know what 1942 is? What, have you never been to a party?
That's why I've never been to a party.
Oh, you know, speaking of Star Trek, I got to tell you, there's a guy in the Biden administration. I think his name is, I'll forget it, I'll fuck up his name because I'm smoking a slow cigarette. But he is very learned. He's got 2 degrees, nuclear physics, I think. He is in the energy department, in charge of nuclear waste, disposing our nuclear waste.
I'd love to talk to him.
let me finish. No, he sounds like a great...
Maybe I shouldn't talk to him.
No, just let me tell you who he is. Okay, so he was also an advisor in the Trump years, but he was not in the administration. Now Biden is bringing him into the administration. He is an out transgender. He goes by they. There are many pictures of him in a dress, I mean a full-on dress. And he does something with his partner called pup play, something with animal suits. And also, this is his quote. He said, also part of their pup play, like puppy.
Like scrambling around like puppy?
Bill, you could put your hand up here at my ass.
Where does he
but
get?
You cannot ask me about pup play.
Where does he get the energy?
I don't. Wait till you hear this. Among the things that they do, he and his partner, and I say they, meaning him and the other person, the they works in both instances here. What they do is I guess it's some sort of domination thing, he ties his partner up, he said this, as a table and eats dinner off him while...
Eats dinner off him?
Ties his partner up as a table and eats dinner off him while they watch Star Trek. I am not making... You could Google it.
And he's high up in the department?
Well, he's the person who's in charge of disposing of nuclear waste.
So he'd be incredibly interesting. Talk about what's happening in
yes.
In Ukraine.
No, he's MIT. He's a brilliant guy who's completely
qualified. Have you ever wondered what they get off on?
I'm not saying he's not qualified for the job. He is. I'm saying he eats dinner off his partner while they watch Star Trek.
But that's humiliating, right? That's humiliation.
There's some... Why is that a kink for people, is my question.
Right. How do you love somebody you want to humiliate? That's my question.
People are always doing things which, like to us, which I count us as the sane, are counterintuitive. Like how, I mean, you know the old joke about the sadist and the masochist? They're in bed together, and the masochist says, hurt me. And the sadist says, no.
Right.
See, you brought me back to 1980.
Where the audience didn't laugh?
Just was...
No, but I was ahead,
Death.
In that instant, I guessed what he was going to say.
Death.
Yeah.
See, that's what I said at the beginning of this. You're too smart for the Hollywood crowd. You know the joke before they say it, so you're not going to... Oh, that was like... The last person I told that to, I had to explain it. That's what I mean. All types come here to Club Rectum, Bill.
Promise me you'll hold my hand when I come. That's a remarkable thing. I've often wondered about those what we think of as strange behavior. How it's satisfied. What is the satisfaction?
Oh, the kinks that people have. There are men with small penises, God pity them, who their kink is to have the woman make fun of it. I guess it's making the best of a bad situation because you got a small dick. I mean, you know what are you gonna pretend it's a big dick? No, you're gonna. But they want the woman to just make fun of your tiny cock, your little button cock. That's a thing.
It's puzzle. The human behavior like that puzzles me.
No. Of course, I can't relate to that at all.
No, but your behavior of not having a permanent or semi-permanent relationship goes against society.
I've had serious relationships.
Yeah, but for as most a year, right?
No, that's as most lived with someone. I've had relationships that were, 3, 5 years.
Where you went out with them, where you were with them?
Absolutely, exclusively.
Exclusively.
Yes, I was never a cheater, because a cheater is a liar, and I'm not a liar. I have many flaws, but I'm not a liar.
So how lost are people generally by the time you got like 4 more years?
Before I'm 70, right? We've established that, Bill.
Right.
Yes.
By the time you're
you know,
you'll be popping
I know, and you'll be 94. Okay,
Yeah,
so
right.
you're always going to be ahead of me. So
That's
I mean, you're
right.
talking about it like I'm going to be catching up to you, but it's never going to happen. No, I obviously, when you get to, I'm officially a senior citizen, as are you. Ageism becomes, at least it has for me, become an issue, and something I've certainly talked a lot about on my show as an issue. Last sort of prejudice that you are allowed to have in this country is ageism. We are a country, I think, very unique about this. Other countries in the world, most countries
explain what you mean. I don't quite understand.
Other countries venerate old people.
Yeah.
For good reason, because we understand as the trade-off that you were just sort of alluding to. You're beautiful when you're young, you're passionate at the beginning of the relationship, and then it switches out. Now, that passion one you can choose not to indulge in or do, but the one about aging you can't choose. That's going to happen. You're going to be less beautiful, and unless you're a complete fucking nincompoop, you're going to be more wise as you get older. And that's why older people, again, are venerated in most countries in the world.
You know,
but this is the
do
only.
you feel wiser being?
Of course, don't you?
No.
Oh, stop it!
Yeah.
You're not wiser than you were when you were 36.
I don't know anything.
Oh, stop!
If somebody asked me for advice, I would say, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I can't give you advice because I don't know. What I would do is not what you would do.
Okay, I'm going to give you some advice. You need to go to a psychiatrist, because if you think you've never been to a party, or that you are not wise and don't have advice to give, I think you're blocking things out.
No, it's not that. It's that realizing that nobody knows anything.
Well, that relatively, yes.
No, absolutely yes.
Not-
relatively,
no.
relatively a little bit. Absolutely, nobody knows anything.
Okay, do you know not to put your hand on a hot stove? Then you learned something, and that is repeated throughout life. That
Yeah,
you,
but what about that guy who said, hurt me, and the guy who said no? He would enjoy putting his hand on the stove, and he might say to you, you know, I enjoy putting my hand on the stove. Should I? And you would say, that's ridiculous. But he said, oh, sure. How do you know what's better for you?
Oh, that is such a
Is
hippie.
that obtuse?
It's not obtuse, it's just like so hippy-dippy. I
Okay.
know lots of shit, and by the way, lots of people do solicit me for advice, and I'm happy to give it.
But what a responsibility that
I know.
that is.
Well,
What if they say
give me an example. This woman I know, mid-20s, she said to me, I ran away from home when I was 18. I said, you can't run away from home when you're 18 because your ass is supposed to be out of the house when you're 18.
But what if the wings aren't strong enough?
Well, they should be by 18.
Well, should be. Who should?
Everybody.
Who said should?
That's raise your child.
See, you're going by raise your child, should. And there's no should in raising. How do you know? You've never raised a child.
Where'd you get this shit? Canada? Is
Vancouver's.
It's just like a Canadian way of looking at things. I mean, I know. See, look at this. I'm finding out so much about
but
you.
But I've got to tell you, as I say it,
no idea.
I realize I don't know what I'm talking about.
I was going to say, yes.
Yeah, you may be right.
I may be right.
I was so curious about you. I wanted to know more about you and your youth.
What a great beginning we've had.
Oh, lovely.
Like, isn't
an exploration.
it amazing to like sort of know somebody? I mean, I remember you doing my old show at the Playboy Mansion. Do you remember that?
I believe I do.
It was a ill-guided concept to like, you know what it was? Remember back in the day when TV had sweeps month?
Yeah. They
And-
don't have Sweets Month anymore?
Of course, I don't think so, because like who watches TV? It's all in streaming and, you know, everything else. So, but like the month of February, May, and November
yes.
is when they would take the ratings.
Right.
So they would like pump up every show with special episode.
Yeah.
So we had to like do something special on those months, or at least once a year. And so we'll go to we'll shoot at the Playboy Mansion for a week. By the way,
What? Really?
he died at just the right time, because he would have been Me Too real bad these days. Even in death, they're coming after him.
They're coming after him now.
Right, but like
every article you're reading,
he went like right before
Yeah.
2017, right like the one the
Yeah.
Weinstein thing. He had
Yeah.
some fucking timing. Anyway,
Did you know Kevin Burns, big heavyset guy, kind of
Burns and Shriver?
a beefy guy? He was about 3 or 4. Kevin, you couldn't have
Who is
missed him.
Kevin
He was
Burns?
Kevin Burns was the producer of the show and became very friendly
Of what show?
of Midnight thing at the Playboy.
After Dark?
After Dark.
The old one?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And he'd go to the movies all the time. Did you do any of that?
Do what?
Go, focus on the flame. Look at the flame. Go to those parties at the Playboy.
The Playboy
Club.
Mansion?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Well, he was there a lot.
I was there a lot. I mean, people thought I lived there, which was preposterous. But they had 5 big parties a year. They had the Midsummer Night's Dream party in the summer that was famous, the lingerie. I mean, everybody.
Right, in the cave. Remember the cave and the pool? And
The cave. You mean the grotto?
The grotto, yeah.
I thought you were never at a party.
Well,
how do you know about the cave?
Well, because I was there doing things. I was there working.
Working?
Yeah, well, I was an actor, and I wasn't there at a party.
What scene was that? The aliens landed in the grotto?
It was work.
T.J. Hooker busted.
Whenever I was in my moments of being single, I never ended up there, and I don't know why. Those girls.
The Playboy bunny. Well, not bunnies. Bunnies are different. Bunnies worked in the clubs.
Okay, the Playboy girls.
Playmates is the word.
Oh, excuse me.
Boy, I got to get you a Canadian to party dictionary, because you are lacking.
Did you go to the play?
Okay, so I said there was 5 big parties a year. There was a Halloween party. You'd spend like $1 million on like all sorts of scary shit and houses. And then there was a New Year's
Did any
Eve party.
puppies go there? Any guys dressed in puppies?
No, no, it was just a whole heterosexual fest. And I would go to all the parties. There would be invitations, and you'd go. Other than that, I didn't live at the Playboy
Wait a
Mansion.
minute, Bacchanal,
Right.
you're lying on the floor.
Yeah, it's Caligula.
With various
Caligula-like
fluids coming
stuff.
out of various
Yeah,
orifices.
it's Caligula-like stuff.
Yeah, really?
Well, yeah.
Jeez.
But you sound like you've always been a guy who wanted a monogamous, serious relationship. Am I wrong?
No, I'm a guy who wanted to go to a Playboy party and had a monogamous.
What about that green chick you kissed? Tell me you didn't get some of that when filming ended for the day.
That stuff rubbed off.
Was that, do you remember like what time of the day you shot that scene? Because like I know actors who say, it was like 8 in the morning and her tongue was in my mouth.
No, I don't remember the night. But there have been some beautiful women over the years that I thought, wow. And yet, even then, long before the Me Too thing, there's something that's causing my eyes to cross. There is a spider, like right here. You see it? There's something floating. You see something in here?
No, but I've seen spiders around.
Okay, it may have been coming down. Right. So I'll just make a quick.
But when you start seeing the spiders, Bill, all I can say is, I'm the one with the clove cigarette. But
we were talking about Bacchanal.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the definition of word Bacchanal. Where the word Bacchanal, it's probably Italian.
Oh, it's Roman.
Yeah.
It's the Rome, it's the
The
Saturnalia.
Greeks didn't have the word Bacchanal?
No, I think that's a Latin word, but the Greeks certainly had.
Bacchanal.
Whoa. And much gayer. What we would call, now we would call gay. They just saw it as putting your dick in my ass. That was not like, that was interesting in antiquity.
Have you ever had a homosexual experience?
No. Why are you? But it's early. We are at Club Random.
You don't know ever homosexual experience?
No.
Ever been fond of a guy?
No, not
Ever
in that
been
way.
looked at the? Well, what do you mean that way?
Not
Have you
in-
ever looked at a
no.
guy and said that guy's attractive?
No, I am.
Have you ever looked at a beefy guy and said that guy's beefy and attractive?
I'm look. Maybe it's just my generation or whatever. I am really do not have a gay bone in my body. I am a very
Somebody's gay bone in your body.
I'm a very heterosexual guy. I'm a flaming heterosexual. Always have been. You know, I mean, that's why does you ask, why don't you ever get married? Because I like girls. That's the reason. I mean, like, some people don't get married because they don't like girls at all, and some people don't get married because they like them a lot. That's it. So, like, no, the idea, I mean, I'm a little homophobic in that, like, I don't want to be touched by men, except you, in my ass, other than that.
There's no danger there. You know that.
Exactly. You know, there's a range of sexuality, which I think we all recognize nowadays. I mean, there's like heterosexuals, and there's certainly homosexuals, and people trans, and we all want to respect, and we do respect them all. But, you know, the majority of people are still, it looks to me like heterosexual people, you know. I remember when I made Religulous, I tried to buy this song for one of the scenes, which is...
That was a great movie.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, that was so
thank you.
fabulous.
Yeah, I'm glad I got the chance to finally
walk
get that.
around with a camera and talk about religion.
Yeah, and interview these people. And I wanted the song, I think it was by Wayne Fontana and the Mindbenders, and it was like, the purpose of a man is to love a woman. Purpose of a woman. Remember this song?
No.
Man, your take. Somebody really, you know, somebody really missed a trick by not putting you in more comedies as you got older, like they did with De Niro. Because you have like that impeccable, dry Canadian. I mean, that take. No. I mean, very few people can hit it like that. And it's not too late.
Right.
You know?
No, I've done a lot of comedy in my time.
Yeah, but they should have a franchise for you, like Bad Grandpa, or, you know, something like that, where you could play, where you could do those kind of.
I can't tell you how much I hate being 90.
Yeah.
It starts at the oldest man in space. Why are they saying? Oh, I went into space. I was courageous. I went in, and I had an experience, and I came down. And I had why are they saying?
To get back to my theme about ageism that I was saying, like, this is something an issue I try to raise. The last prejudice allowed. It's like it's annoying that people don't understand that, especially as we get age, your mileage may vary. They act like everybody over 50 is in great decline. Many are, because as America, we are just not a healthy country to begin with. We don't do healthy things, we don't live healthy. But obviously, it just depends. This could be 90, this can be 66, or I know people who are 45 and are fucking old. You know, it depends on how you live as an individual. I am sick and tired of that. Like, you're 90, but I'll be happy
You're almost breathless.
I'll be happy if I couldn't get out of the chair in 2 seconds when I'm 90. If I'm even just here and I can sit here and like not know if I didn't know how old you were, it would never cross my mind. Like I said, when you look at somebody's face, immediately you go, oh, I want to fuck them, or they don't look healthy. Like this, it wouldn't enter my mind. That's as much as you can ask for, is that we just had this conversation. There's not 1 second where I was like, oh boy, he's lost his step.
Thank you.
So don't be that upset about it.
I know this comes
Although
to
if I was 90, I'd be shitting my pants.
Right. But be sending it off to see if examine. Talk to me. You know, we've been here a while, and I know time. I don't know whether you have a time.
I have to, because it's somehow this, which has been such a fucking amazing experience.
It is.
Somehow it's also a show.
I have
to.
And it's the best. Okay.
But we'll do it again.
But you'll edit. So
we'll do it again.
Absolutely.
No editing. No editing. I wouldn't take 1 second out of it.
All right, because then, the subject I want to talk to you about, if you have to bring this to an end, you bring it to an end. But the subject I would love to talk to you about is the religious thing you did. You say an atheist, but you don't mean an atheist who doesn't believe in anything. You believe in the mystery.
Well, that is what an atheist is. An atheist is just, as Richard Dawkins, the most famous atheist, says, like everybody else, there was all these gods, the Roman gods, the Greek gods, many gods in history. You all eliminated all of them. I just go one further. I just also eliminate the last one. And he says, even on a scale of 1 to 7, 1 being utter certainty there's a God, 7 being utter certainty there isn't, he says, I'm a 6.9. I would say that's my position too. Utter certainty? No, we can't have that about anything. He says there could be a spaghetti monster between here and Alpha Centauri. There could be. Could be anything. I don't know. I always say I'm a patheist. I combine apathy and atheism. I don't know and I don't care.
Well, but
I don't care.
But you can't put yourself with apathy because you passionately went out with a camera to examine religions.
Because I'm a comedian. Because when I pitched the movie with Larry Charles, the brilliant Larry Charles who directed it, I said, look, religion, comedy, it's hitting the side of a barn and no one's done it. If you can't make hay out of, a man lived inside of a whale and, a talking snake and I mean, come on. That's mostly what my interest in it was.
Right, but they took you seriously.
But personally, I don't care. I don't care if there's a God because I'll never know, and I'm going to live the same way, unless he actually came down or hit me with a bolt of lightning or stuck your hand up my ass.
But then you're still forced to contemplate the questions, the eternal questions, and you don't have any answer. I don't have any answer.
You're not forced to contemplate them. What's going to happen is that they're going to enter your mind, and then you're going to go, I don't know. Yes, it could really make your head hurt, Bill? If you think about, the universe we think we know from physicists is 14 billion years old, right?
No.
Yes.
That's the last point of light.
That's when the Big Bang Theory happened. 14 billion years ago.
The Hubble telescope has seen a constellation 13.8 billion years away.
Right.
Light years.
Right.
Okay, so wait a minute. What you're seeing is the photon of light 13.8 billion light years ago.
Right.
That constellation has gone somewhere in that time.
Yeah, well, my point was going to be, yes, the Big Bang Theory happens at this point.
Except it's expanding.
Okay, so if you really want to make your brain hurt, you would ask the question, first of all, why is there anything? And if there was not anything, why is there a universe at all? And if there is not anything, isn't that something? These are questions that just make your brain hurt, so I don't deal with them. I deal with, oh, shit, I need ice. I don't want to be that deep. I just can't go there with you.
Except that it leads...
I'm not going to know in my lifetime.
Sometimes it leads, and what you ask, if I came back with anything, because I believe, I'm sort of in your...
Yes.
Thank
you for getting me back to that. I never heard the end of that.
I'm in your cage. I'm in...
My man cave.
I'm in your man cave. I'm there, because that's the way, basically, I feel. Except that you said string theory, so that involves entanglement, and that involves vibration, and that involves being able to perhaps make things vibrate that gives you a parking spot at the restaurant you're going to go to, and the guy pulls out, you pull in.
I have a feeling you're like Johnny Carson. You know this shit a lot more in depth than the average person. This almost is to you like what I am with politics. I know my shit inside out. That's why it's so nice to be able to have this conversation here with you, because my show, let's be honest, it's for DC insider types. It's a political debate show mostly. Asking the average person or even a celebrity to do that panel is like asking someone to just suit up and play for the Lakers.
The reason...
But this, I can
Because that's dangerous.
Yes. But like, I have a feeling the way I am with that, you are with science. I mean, because like, you're saying these things and I'm like, oh, I'm vaguely, but I'll never understand. It's like, I just trust you. Like, I trust the people like you and Neil deGrasse
Other
Tyson
people, yeah.
and the other people like who like I, if you asked me about the Big Bang Theory, I'd be like, it's the most preposterous thing in the world that all the universe could have fit into something very small and then exploded. But like, I get it that they have ways of knowing this that I don't, and I submit. Like, you're smarter about this, I yield, you know?
You know, it's a theory.
It's a theory, but like, it seems to be one they have coalesced around.
Well, it's
Big
a theory.
Bang? Really? You think it's controversial?
Isn't science repeatable?
Absolutely, yes.
That's the definition of
Yes,
science.
no.
So repeat the Big Bang.
And always up to be disproved. That's why it's different from religion and better,
Right.
because we can disprove it.
So the Big
And they
Bang is somebody's idea of what happened, and there's all kinds of reason to think it happened, but maybe it didn't. It's not repeatable. The mysteries of why the universe, our universe, seems to be expanding because of what we can see, is like, why is it expanding?
If only there was someone who could go where no man has gone before.
Or gone where many men. More men. Anyway,
All right,
this
thank
has
you.
been extravagant. I don't know. Watch me get out. Watch me get out of this chair.
Since you're so reluctant out of this chair, and since you were such an amazing guest, and since I've loved you for so long,
You can't go down.
I'm
That's
going to blow you.